So it is snowing to beat the band today. This is what it's like in Maine. This is out the front of my home.
Hey guys, this is Kristen at Cooking in the County, and today I am going to show you how I make my Crockpot roast beef with carrots and potatoes. It is snowing to beat the band out there today, so I thought this would be a really yummy comfort meal for tonight for supper. So here's a list of ingredients you're gonna need to make this Crockpot roast beef dinner.
Here's what you're gonna need: some olive oil for browning, of course your roast beef, half an onion, garlic or garlic powder, 32 ounces of beef broth, 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, thyme and rosemary or some sage and marjoram, whichever you have, and some potatoes and carrots. And to make your gravy, you need 3 tablespoons of cornstarch to 3 tablespoons of cold water.
First thing we're going to do is prepare our roast beef. Now, my roast was frozen solid this morning. So I put it in the crock pot just on low while I was getting ready just to try to get it done thawed, and it worked out great, okay? So we're going to salt and pepper this. First of all, you're gonna dry your roast beef, really good, okay? Then you're going to generously salt and pepper. Just gonna salt and pepper it all up. Then we're going to just get it brown, okay? I've had this pan on with some olive oil, getting really hot. And we're just going to sear the meat, okay? Hear that? That's what you want to hear. So of course, like I always been telling you, I'm warming up my crock pot as we're doing this, so it will be nice and warm once the roast is all nice and brown all the way around. So we're just gonna move it all around till it gets nice and brown, has a nice little crust, even stand it up on the ends. As we're waiting for that, we're going to cut up an onion, just big chunks like this, okay? This is just gonna be for flavoring, not for eating. So we're just gonna cut this onion up, just a smidge, that, okay? Some big chunks. Turn it around, get a nice seat. Look at that nice crust already. Okay, turn this around. I just feel like brown food is the best food. That's my opinion anyway. We're gonna get this all nice and brown around. Okay, I think we have a nice crust on this. You can see it. Good. You see, crock pot has been warming up. Throwing this into the bottom. This is a thick roast. We buy our beef from a local cow farmer. This one is gonna be thick, so I think it's gonna be a while for that to cook up. Now, keep your pan on. Maybe turn it down a little bit. We're going to throw these onions in. Just gonna saute those with a little bit of garlic powder. Now, you probably should be using real garlic, but I don't have any. So I'm gonna use some garlic powder. Yeah, that's all we're doing. Fry that up. Get them a little soft. All the beef juices on them. Going. Now this is going to be, like, if you're gonna cook this on low, it's gonna be about 8 hours on low. I'm gonna say 4 to 6 on high. I always cook everything on high, I don't know why. I don't see any trouble with it. Now, I think probably the majority of people throw their carrots and potatoes right in with their roast and they're done for the day. I don't do that, and I'll show you what I do. I cook my potatoes and carrots separately about an hour and a half before supper time, but I use the juices of the roast when I do that. And we'll get to that point in a little bit. I just like my carrots and potatoes Again, the texture when they come out of there can get really mushy, or sometimes they don't cook at all because potatoes and carrots are finicky like that. So I'll show you what I do. Okay, I'm gonna say these onions are good. We're throwing these in. Okay, next thing we're gonna do, leave it all going. We're going to take some beef broth. This is organic beef broth. This is 32 ounces, okay? Pour this in here. It's gonna pick up all the juices from you browning your roast beef, and it's gonna pick up all those flavors of the onions. This is gonna be our juice that our roast is gonna cook in, but it's also gonna be our gravy. We're gonna thicken it later. It's probably one of the best roast beef recipes I have found. So I've stuck with it for a while. I'm gonna add just a smidge more garlic powder. Okay, to this, I use rub sage. Some people use thyme. I just don't have any thyme. I don't have any thyme. Sage, I feel like works just as great. If you don't have these, don't worry about it. You can still make this roast. And I think it's called marjoram. I don't know. I'll show you in a minute. Marjoram. You see it? I'll put it in the description below. And yeah, my other favorite one, Worcestershire sauce, no clue. Half a tablespoon of that. This one I have low sodium because it can be extremely salty, and you already have bone broth, all that, so I'd rather add salt than have it too salty. So we're gonna bring this to a boil. I'm gonna get my whisk. So just bring this to a boil. Pick up all the little brown bits at the bottom. Like I said, later, we will thicken this up. If you try to thicken something and thicken it up and then throw it in your crock pot and let it cook for 8 hours, it's gonna break down. It's not gonna stay thick. So you're really gonna have to thicken it after, when you're almost ready to eat. This really isn't a fix it and leave it roast beef meal because I make the gravy and then I do the carrots and stuff later. It's like for a good day today, like the snowy day when nobody's doing anything and nobody's going anywhere. It is coming to a boil. And I talk about this browning and seasoning sauce a lot. It's like a concentrated, it's like I said, it has like vegetable base, it has carrots, parsley, onion, turnips. It's very concentrated, so it's gonna give you like a really good flavoring. Don't do it too ton, don't need a ton of it, just a little bit. It's really gonna darken this. So this is boiling, picking up all the brown bits on the bottom. And we're just gonna pour this over the roast, and this is going to cook for at least 6 hours on high. Because we really want our beef to be tender, okay? And that is it for right now, okay? So when we're ready to prepare our carrots and potatoes, I'll bring it back and show you how we do that. Roast beef is in our crock pot. So I still prepare my carrots and potatoes beforehand. We really like carrots. There's gonna be 3 of us eating tonight. So I will probably do 6 big carrots, and that should be plenty. 2, 4, 6. So I'm gonna peel 6 carrots, and these potatoes are big. Let's see. Look at that potato. These are huge. All right. I'm not gonna use those great big ones. Holy smokes. Okay, anyway, maybe I could just I'll probably just do this one. For the 3 of us. I'll peel them and cut them up. Holy cow. Okay. Okay, like I've said before, and it's probably wrong, it's probably not the right thing to do, I peel my potatoes first and then I rinse them after I peel them because I always feel like they're too slippery to handle. So, peeling this now. Okay, potatoes done. Carrots. Okay, now I'm gonna go rinse these. Okay, all rinsed. Now I'm going to cook them. I'll do carrots first. Do a better one here. I'm gonna do the tops and then I'm gonna do the bottoms. Okay? Okay, that's the first one we're gonna do. See if you want. Done. Trash. Okay. I like to cut my carrots just kind of in half. I like to make them a little fancy. And because we're not going to be cooking these until about an hour and a half before supper time, I'm going to cut these, get them all ready, and put them in a bowl of cold water. Number one, so the potatoes don't turn brown. And so it keeps it cold, and plus it's all done for me, okay? So I'm gonna cut these either in thirds or two. Okay. Just gonna throw them in the water. And these are all ready to go when it's time to get cooking, okay? And we'll fill this back up with some more water. Okay. Now, here's my potato. This ginormous potato, I can't even believe it. Okay, so I don't want these too small, but I don't want them too big either. So I think I'm gonna do about this size, okay? Because they're not gonna get mushy because we're basically gonna just bake them with the carrots, with some of the sauce, okay? And I'll show you that when we get to that point. I got a couple hours to go. Okay, and that should be plenty of potatoes for the three of us because I don't eat a lot of potatoes. Sydney might not eat any potatoes, and Steve will eat all the rest. Okay, so I'm gonna fill this up with some more cold water. Our bowl is all full. I'm gonna put this, cover it, put it in the refrigerator until it's ready to go. By soaking your potatoes in water, it's gonna take some of the starch of the potatoes, and I feel like they cook, I like the texture of them from doing this, but you can throw these in your crock pot and be done with it. This is just how I do it, okay guys? So I'm gonna cover it, put it in the fridge, and we'll be back an hour and a half before it's time for supper. We're gonna throw them in here, get the juices ready, and finish this meal up. Okay, well, it's an hour and a half before supper time, and I'm going to start my potatoes and my carrots. I know my hair is different, but that little pony was giving me a headache. Or either the pony or the snow, I don't know. Either way, it was giving me a headache and it feels better, so. Okay, so I'm going to drain the water out of these and we'll get them in the oven. This is like my favorite pan of all times. It's a Giada de Laurentiis pan, and both the handles have broke off of it, but I don't care because I love it. So I'm gonna keep using it. So I'm gonna spray this just in case it decides to stick. I don't really feel like scrubbing my pan all night. So I'm gonna put carrots and potatoes in here. Salt, pepper, and garlic from my house seasoning. Pretty generously I really want them to have really yummy flavor. Just like that. Okay. I'm gonna start with a cup of this juice and see how it goes. My roast is so tender already, I can feel it just, well, that's not quite a cup yet. And even if there's a few onions in there, that's okay. That's gonna really flavor this. Okay. Make sure all the vegetables are down good. Okay. So I'm gonna cover this for the first half hour, maybe? Half hour, 45 minutes. I'm gonna let this cook for about an hour and a half. Carrots and potatoes are very finicky. And sometimes they cook quickly and sometimes they don't want to. I don't know if that's just me in my oven or what, but. So this is gonna be in the oven for an hour and a half. Probably the last half hour, I'll take the cover off. I just really want them to cook and get really in with the juices, okay? So 1 hour covered, take the tinfoil off a half an hour before it's time. I forgot to tell you the temperature. 375, 1 hour covered, half an hour, or whenever they're fork tender, you know, until they're done. Okay, so hour and a half. So my potatoes and carrots have been cooking for an hour. Take this off. Smells amazing. I'm gonna check and see how fork tender they are. Let's check to see. Ooh, these are gonna be perfect. Half an hour left. This will just kind of roast them now. So I'm gonna put them in and we're going to now make our gravy. Thing that we're going to do is drain all the juices from the roast beef. Okay, so we're gonna take our roast beef out. It's wicked tender, even this great big roast, or puffy roast. It's not great big, but it is round. So we are going to strain the juices. Get all of the onions out and all of that. So we're gonna strain that into here. Make a mess with it. Okay. Perfect. And if you want to go a step further, they do make these grease separating little contraptions. I gotta be honest, it took me forever to figure them out. I think I was like overthinking it totally, and I could not figure this foolish thing out to save my life. So I had to contact my pampered chef lady and ask her how to run it. She's like, you're overthinking it. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. So I'm gonna put it in here and try to get out as much, wrong burner, get as much grease or fat out of it as I can. There's really not a ton. I don't know if you can see the separation or not on there, but there's a little bit. So to this, we're going to add some cornstarch to thicken it up. This thing is making a mess, my heavens. We'll be lucky if we have any gravy left here. With all the juice I'm spilling. So hopefully I'll just get juice and not the fat. Gosh, I think my husband's almost home, so I think the dog's hear him. Yeah. Okay, so 3 tablespoons of cornstarch to 3 tablespoons of very cold water. And then we're just gonna put this mix it, wait for this to come to a boil, and we'll thicken it up. So we're going to add our cornstarch and water. We'll just let this boil for about a minute or two until it gets to a thick consistency. It's already getting thick already. boiling. So we want to shut this off, and I'm going to taste it and see if it needs any salt or anything. Another good test, I think I've shown you this before, if your gravies or sauces are thick enough. If you see a line between those, that means it's thick enough. So let's try it. He's good to me. I'm gonna add a smidge of salt, regular salt. It's actually pink Himalayan. And I love pepper, so I'm just gonna add lots of pepper. So, I am going to kind of break up this roast. Kind of weird how they string. Just kind of pieced it together here. So I'm kind of picky with really fatty pieces, so I try to get rid of all that first. There's some fatty pieces here. Like, look how tender that is. Wicked tender. I gotta try it. That was yummy. Very, very delicious. So I'm just trying to get off some of the fat here. So all I'm gonna do is pour this back in here. My gravy, pour it on top. And when everybody's ready, they just pull out what they want. You can use the gravy if you're gonna do mashed potatoes instead of the baked potato, but even having the sauce on the potatoes that we're doing is delicious. So we'll get this plated up here in just a minute. All right, everything is done. I just pulled my potatoes and carrots out. They look amazing. I'm going to add a tad bit of butter to this. Just melt it in here. This butter is from a local dairy farm in our area. It's the best butter on the planet. Okay, and I'm just gonna mix this around with the butter. We're just gonna add our roast to the side, and everybody can come and get out what they want. That roast, perfect. Perfect roast. And gravy. Okay, so here you have it. 6 hours, roast, gravy. And potatoes. Hope you try it and I hope you love it. Once again, don't forget to like and subscribe and give me a big fat like if you like this video. Thanks guys.